going to stop here. I think Irene Stevie was there earlier on, and Johnson Emmanuel, I think earlier on. I don't know if Madam Eugenia, if you're there, good evening, ma, or good afternoon. Where do I start from? Okay, let me just start with VDM. Everybody has a role to play. However they play that role, however you want to interpret the role that they're playing, I think it's your prerogative. I picked some certain things VDM was saying. VDM's role is his role. And I think from my own perspective, I think, I don't know, for lack of a better word, I think sometimes VDM doesn't know how to use the right words at the right time. And sometimes what kind of like irritates me is his ambiguity. That is somebody who is not like a straight shooter. If you are sending out that information, be a straight shooter. Stop giving us nuances that, you know, that we don't understand. I mean, Nigeria, we have gone past all those kind of nuances. Just give me straight shooter. You know, I've always said, the time will come, you got to pick a side. You got to pick a side. And I'm so proud of people like Mr. Elvis, Mr. Nigeria Watch, even today, Ed Not, they have picked a side. A time is going to come, including me, everybody, I have picked a side anyway. It's Peter Obi's my side. And I'm saying it openly, and I will say it anyway, even within if everybody in my family knows already, this is Peter Obi's. You have to pick a side. Regardless, you got to pick a side. That shows the character that you are. You got to pick a side. But if you're being, you're kind of like trying to be ambiguous, you're trying to speak in parables, or make some certain idioms, or start to make some comparison that's not really focusing on where you are projecting at, you would look suspicious. People would interpret you differently. People, you even say you are the enemy, right? But for me, I would say there's one thing there's some few things he said. Let me mention one. He said, if you are waiting for me or any celebrity to tell you who to vote, with what you are facing now, you are a fool. And he's right. And that's why you see we are criticizing him, because he's an influencer of some sort. That's why we are criticizing him. But the actual fact is that even the so-called rattles, he's trying to tell them, and I think that's why, they said, precipitate a crisis to command change. Yes, precipitate a crisis to command change. You got to do something to force people to act, to force people to think outside the box, to force people to now start to read, to force people to actually listen. You got to do something. And I see VDM, this comment he made, it sounded like somebody that's trying to precipitate something for an action to be taken or a decision to be taken. And that's why it sounds and looks annoying in his presentation. That's what I see. That's what I see. And it's true. You're not going to wait for Mr. Nigeria Watch or for me to tell you that vote for Peter Obi. If you're not feeling it, or even if you're not feeling it and you feel your entire family lives abroad, but you come from Nigeria, you probably have investments, or you have very close family and friends sitting in Nigeria, and you're seeing what's going on, in Nigeria, you see it in the news live. And if you're not concerned, I don't know what kind of human being you are, but if you are concerned, you have to pick a side, and you have to make a very drastic decision on what you want. Nobody can tell you, okay, the way Nigeria is now, things are hard. Everybody's talking about fuel, food, insecurity. To me, that's the number one. And the person who is supposed to be the commander-in-chief is not doing nothing. And you're seeing things getting worse by the day. And you still want to vote this person. Something's wrong with your brain. So I'm sorry, sweetheart. Something is wrong with your brain. It means the person is not competent. If you employ somebody as your manager of your company, and you see that there's a lot of losses, no more customers, it means that your manager is not doing a good job. What happens? Get out of the kitchen. Put another manager. That's what Nigeria needs. And everybody who has a conscience, there's a reason why I say conscience. Yes, if you have a conscience, you will know that the man from Babylon Doesn't have the interest of Nigeria. It's just about himself and his cronies. Period. Period. So you don't have to wait for VDM or me to tell you, hey, vote for the person that is likely to change Nigeria, or change the systems that will force corruption to at least go into hibernation, because I cannot predict what will happen after Peter Obi serves 4 years. He might stay there for 4 or 8 years, but even if it's 8 years, after that 8 years, what's going to happen? The Kraken might be in hibernation, because it's not easy to completely cut out evil. They say if you want to buy a snake, you got to cut it from the head. If you cut the tail, possibility that the tail might grow back or heal, but the snake still has the venom. So you got to cut the head. So Peter Obi right now, I think Peter Obi's leadership might be sort of cosmetic. Looking at the time frame, even 8 years is not enough to fix Nigeria. It's not enough, because his ideas would influence everybody down on the totem pole. Everybody will start to feel it, because leadership is, they say a fish gets rotten is from the head, right? If you see that the person is not corrupt, like Peter Obi said, if anybody is stealing from your government, it means that you are stealing. That is why they are stealing. But if nobody is stealing, and that's what he did in Anambra State when he was governor, if he's not stealing, everybody, it will be striving to work together. Everybody's looking at your vision. And we look at Singapore today, like Lee Kuan Yew. Everybody that worked with him understood his vision, and they stuck by it, because they understood that Singapore has to be greater than what it is. I think in 1967, it was like a third or whatever. In fact, the most corrupt and poverty-stricken nation. But hey, Singapore passport is number 1 in the world today. As at now, I don't know, maybe you can check it. Maybe it's number 2 now, but it's number 1. They didn't just get there by just being nice and pretty. No, they didn't. They didn't just get there by doing that. So what I'm trying to say now is, we need to cut the umbilical cord. There's something Mr. Jonathan said, like, I always said it, cut the umbilical cord. I don't have time to be soft with you. I will tell you in a very crude way, this is the decision you need to take, Nigerians. Yes. So, and another thing VDM also said was, oh my God, I hope I remember it now. When he was talking about, you should be protesting for ABCD. Like I said, everybody has a role to play. Now, so his sense reach. Whether he's trying to be ambiguous, whether he's trying to change the narrative, or to cause some sort of confusion, or or be one of those merchants, like merchants of confusion and controversy, I don't know. I cannot predict. Time will tell. But however, all those things he was saying, I think VDM was, in his own little way, as his sense reach again, so I'm saying again, as his sense reach, he was trying to give a message, but I think he just didn't know how to put it together. Besides, you don't need VDM to tell you that the nation is bad, who to vote for. You don't need him. That's it. We don't need VDM. Because we're in this space of social media and this millennium now, influencers are so important in a society. 20 years ago or 30 years ago, influencers were not important. If somebody even know you, that maybe you're part of from royal court, or you work in the government, you'll be popular. Nothing like social media. You understand? So right now, people even trust social media influencers over people in government, because they are, everybody's sitting on some sort of pedestal of I'm a big man in the Nigerian context. So that's what I see there. And then quickly, before I know Mr. Elvis ring the bell now, for Zakoji, he said something. He said reforms bring a new order. I laughed when he said that. I laughed. Yes, I agree. Reforms bring a new order. Okay, the reforms going on in present-day Nigeria. Can you tell us the order, the new system or order, whatever name you want to call it? Where is it going to? I can tell you the order that's going on in Nigeria now, based on what is happening today, Mr. Zakoji. I don't want to even call his name safe. I don't even want Mr. Gabonese, because he said he was born in Gabon. Let me tell you something. The new order that we are getting to in Nigeria is a one-party system. The new order that we are going through in Nigeria today is intimidation. The new order that we are going through today is a hegemonious, satanic, aristocratic system of government. The new order that we are getting today is murderers, touts, louts. They are all in charge of government parastatals. The new order that we have today is intimidation, intimidation, and intimidation. The new order that we have today is bigotry, satanism, occultism. That is the new order. The new order that we have today is suffering, pain, death, and darkness. That is the new order we are getting today. Based on the rules that we are seeing, you are borrowing money, you are impoverishing people, you are intimidating anybody that doesn't join you, you are forcing them. Like Mr. Rifai said, what is the difference between Abacha? In fact, Abacha is Angel Gabriel, where the man from Babylon is. In fact, Jesus Christ, Barnabas, and what's the other one again besides Jesus Christ? I would say Abacha is what's the one that is the good one that said, I will be with you in heaven. When Jesus said, you will be with me today. That is Abacha. The other one is man from Babylon. Honestly speaking. There's a plethora of lists I can write down about the new order of Nigeria today. So, Mr. Gabonese, enter house. See that your white baby, respect it too. And the fact that I was watching you when I was a little girl on TV, I just respect yourself. Elvis, let me stop here now. Thank you.